Hello and welcome to Shannon Gardens. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So today I am going to be working on putting bulbs in some of my containers. My summer flowers continue to die out. We've had a few mornings of freezing temperatures already, so that did kill off some of my summer bloomers, and I'm ready to go ahead and get the bulbs in the containers, and then I will actually be placing violas on top of those. So I will plant the bulbs in the containers below the violas, and then as springtime comes around, those bulbs will come through the violas, and I'll have some height from the bulbs and different blooms, and then as a bed below that will be the pretty violas that I've got in there as well, and by springtime they will have filled in. So I've got 3 different kinds of bulbs, and I wanted to show those to you guys. I'm planting crocus, and then paper white narcissus, and then hyacinth. And I've pretty much stayed in the same color scheme that I have planned to do this fall and winter, which is mostly whites and purples and a little bit of red, although I've had a hard time finding more red. In my previous video where I went to Home Depot, I found a few red pansies and I was able to pick those up, but since then I have not seen any, so I'm still on the lookout. But in the meantime, I've got my white and my purple theme, and so as you can see, these bulbs stay in that color scheme and will look very nice with the violas that I'm putting on top of it. And I love the crocus because it's got the yellow as well. So that's gonna look very pretty in the spring when they are blooming. And I just think that when I think of spring, I think of yellow. So I'm really going to enjoy that. And then here are the violas that I've picked out, which is white with the purple center, and then purple with a white center and kind of a lighter purple or bluish tone right here, and then just straight purple violas. So I think that mixed together in the pots will be very pretty. And then, like I said, in the pots that I choose to put the bulbs in, I think that will be lovely as those grow and those bloom. And I wanted to also share why I am choosing to put some of the bulbs in the containers rather than in the ground. And there's a big reason for that, actually. The last few years when I've put bulbs in the ground, I have had a struggle with something digging them up, and I would put them back in and they would get dug up again. And so I'm hoping that this year, being in a container, that they will not get dug up. I'll be able to keep an eye on them more regularly than I would when they are actually in the ground in the garden. So I've got that, and I just thought it would provide some nice height for those pansies and violas that I am planting in my containers. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to have something with height where I could see it from my windows, because these planters are close to the windows. And then also bearing in mind that these bulbs are fragrant. So in the spring, as you're opening your windows and letting the fresh air in, I thought that would be lovely as well, to have that lovely floral fragrance coming into the house. And it's just gonna feel very nice and lovely for the springtime and kind of all fresh and new. So I am going, that was my reasoning for doing that. And I wanted to show you guys too that I am using bone meal. This is the bone meal that I got. I've never used, I don't think I've ever used this brand before, but I do use bone meal when I'm planting my bulbs. It does say that it encourages root growth, and it says that it's good for flowering plants. It's ideal for bulbs and for flowering plants. I know that there are fertilizers specifically for bulbs. I don't know that I've ever used that. I've always tended to use bone meal, and it's worked out great. I don't even know why I started using it. I imagine that someone probably recommended it, and that's what I've gone with ever since. So let's go ahead and get these in the pots. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in a little bit of my bone meal, and it said in these instructions that for potted plants, apply 1 to 1.5 tablespoons per pot and mix in the soil. So I'm just going to guess at about how much a tablespoon is. It really shouldn't be that much. I think that's probably about right. And then I'll mix it in here. All right. And then I think that we're good to go. Now my paper whites say that it should be planted 3 to 6 inches in depth. And then my hyacinths are 3 to 5 inches in depth. So I'm going to put them all in one layer, and then I'll be putting soil on top of that, and then I will put in my violas. So you can do whatever kind of configuration you want as far as how you want those to bloom, how you want that to look. You do want to bear in mind, and try to imagine how that's going to look as they come through the flowers, and if you want more of a height backdrop, or if you just kind of want it spread throughout. So that's completely up to you. And I will just go ahead and get these in the ground or in the pot. One thing I did want to point out when you're planting my paper whites, actually all the bulbs I'm planting today, pointy side up. So you want to do this pointed side up, the bigger side goes down. So just like that, and I'll get these in the pot. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my paper whites here on the outside. I've got my hyacinths right here in the middle. I am saving some bulbs. I don't want to put them all in this pot. I actually want to put them in another pot on the other side of the patio as well, so that I have a nice balance when you're looking at the back of the house. I want to make sure that my flowers and my pots are balanced. So I'm going to now cover this with some dirt, and then I will put my violas on top. Okay, you guys, I'm going to do the same thing in this pot. As you can see, I have an existing grass here, and it is a perennial grass. Now, I do not know if this will last through the winter, but I guess we will find out. In the meantime, I am leaving that, and if it dies off, then that's fine. I will cut it down as it dies off. Oh, look, we have a little granddaddy longleg. Let me grab that. Oh no, where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Okay. I'll take him somewhere else so I don't accidentally plant him. Now in this pot, I'm going to be doing the crocus, and I've got the soil level elevated a bit as it is 2 to 3 inches in depth that needs to be planted. I'm only doing crocuses in here. I've got it in between my two pots where I did the paper whites and where I did the hyacinths. So I think that that will nicely tie in the purple and white that I've got in those two pots, and then doing something separate but the same color scheme in this one. All right, you guys, I have finished planting my bulbs and then the pots with the violas and the bulbs as well. This one already has a couple of perennials in it, so I just planted the bulbs here. I did all 3, and those should look really nice in the spring. I planted a paper white and then violas in this smaller pot, and then in its neighboring pot I'll actually be planting a couple of pansies within the next few weeks, so that will tie in nicely. I've got this pot as well, which has the paper whites, hyacinths, a couple of perennials already, and then violas. Crocuses are in the empty pot, and that is right next to this pot that I just showed you that has the paper whites and the hyacinths. So once these crocuses come up, those will be the white, purple, and yellow as well. It'll look very nice blooming side by side. And then I have my biggest pot, which has all these violas and then the paper whites and hyacinths in, which I think is going to look lovely as they grow through these violas in the springtime, and it's going to smell delightful. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'm so excited about getting these pots and containers transitioned for fall and winter, for fall flowers. Again, this is an ideal time for me to plant my bulbs and the violas and the pansies in my zone, which is 7B. And so I'm just very excited to get these in the ground. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much again for joining me. And until next time, bye.